Having control over your own body is something that a lot of people don't realize that they are taking for granted every single day. It makes a lot of sense, of course, because why would they? Moving our bodies is something that is second nature to most people. It's just what we're supposed to be able to do on our own terms. But for people like me who have Tourette syndrome, that's a luxury we know nothing about. Hi everyone, so it has been a little while since I've gotten back to reading chapters of my book, Ticking My Way Through Life, so I thought we'd get that going again. Last time we left off on chapter 9, where it was my struggle to accept medication. This week we are reading chapter 10, which is my escape. This is all about my life when I danced when I was younger, which was my biggest escape and just the best thing I think that I was ever a part of. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So chapter 10, my escape. Although my friends and family have always been there and comforted me on the worst of days, there was always that want to escape into something else. Unfortunately, when someone is on the other side of this disorder, there's only so much they can do to help us. And until someone somewhere can find a way to make it go away for good, we have to find other ways to make our way through this crazy disorder. A lot of us have our hobbies or interests that bring our minds to a different and more comfortable world, and for me, that world was dance. The dance studio, the stage, the music, they were everything to me for such a huge part of my life, and it's something I'll always be grateful to have had. My mom put me in dance class when I was just 3 years old. My older cousin danced, so she thought it could be something fun for me to try, not knowing then what a passion and deep-rooted love would blossom from it. In the beginning, it was my basic classes where I would get to shuffle and stomp my feet in tap shoes with giant black bows on them, wear tutus and spin around not knowing which way to go or how to balance myself at the time. That grew into bigger tap shoes without bows. The tutus were no longer a part of my wardrobe, and I like to think I began to have much better dance moves, lifelong friends, and most importantly, an escape from every bad thing that ever happened to me. Most importantly, my tics. My mom told me that she had to bribe me to get on stage during my first dance recital. Apparently, there was a part of the dance where a boy was going to have to spin me around in a circle, and I wanted no part of that on stage. So my mom made a deal with me. I go on stage and dance, and afterward, I get ice cream. To this day, I still blame her for my addiction to ice cream. Thanks, Mom. But the deal worked, and on the stage I went. I danced to Do You Believe in Magic by the Lovin' Spoonful and wore a pink dress that had oversized ruffles on the sleeves and at the bottom. We toe-heeled and stomped all over the stage while people cheered and laughed at our inability to correctly dance to the music. Ever since that moment, I was hooked. As I got older and my love of dance grew, I began to love it for more than the rush of the stage and the cheering audience. Once I got old enough to know my body better and realize that having control over it wasn't always an option for me, dance became everything to me. Having control over your own body is something that a lot of people don't realize that they are taking for granted every single day. It makes a lot of sense, of course, because why would they? Moving our bodies is something that is second nature to most people. It's just what we're supposed to be able to do on our own terms. But for people like me who have Tourette syndrome, that's a luxury we know nothing about. I was too young to remember a time before the tics, but luckily I remember all the times in dance when they disappeared. The dance studio was a place where I existed in the moment. It was a place where I didn't have to worry about what my body was going to do next because for once in my life, I was in control. If I kicked my leg up in the air, threw my hands, or jumped and spun around, I did it because it was a part of the choreography. It was overwhelmingly perfect and the best part of all of my days. I used to count down the hours on a bad tic day, knowing that all I had to do was make it to the studio, hear that music, and release. So many emotions ran through my body every time I danced that most people knew nothing about. As corny as it sounds, I felt like I was home when I danced. Although the dances got harder, my determination grew with each year. I knew I wasn't the best dancer to ever grace the stage, but I knew there was something inside of me that was bursting to get out. And for the first time, it wasn't my tics desperate to escape me. I'm not sure how it happened, but somehow I was just a normal kid when I entered the studio. The harder I danced, the further away Tourette syndrome went. So much so that there were times when I forgot it even existed. I was in my own little world of normalcy, and I never wanted it to end. I practiced constantly. When I was in my younger years of dance, the practice didn't come as easily to me, and my mother had to push me to do it. But as I got older, I saw the beauty and the necessity in it. I always needed to perfect everything, especially my dances. I wanted my teachers to notice how hard I worked in and outside of the dance studio. I wanted to stand out for something that wasn't awkward body movements or noises. I wanted to stand out for something good and to make my parents and my teachers proud of me. I loved dancing. I loved knowing that I was in control. So I practiced making sure I could get it as perfect as possible. It was a blessing and a curse, since that perfectionist in me led me to be incredibly hard on myself anytime I messed up on stage. Or in the dance studio, really. The rest of the dance could have been perfect. In one wrong turn, one count off, and I would be thinking about it the rest of the day. I would beat myself up over it because, in my mind, and in the dance world, everything had to be perfect when it came time for the stage. The blessings of my dance life heavily outweighed any negatives that came with it, though. The perfectionism, the pounds of makeup, the itchy, uncomfortable dance costumes, the cuts, bruises, and pulled muscles, every ounce of it was worth it to me. The world of dance brought something to my life that I will never get anywhere else. Other athletic activities come close. Exercising always helps on a bad day, or focusing my mind on other hobbies and interests, but none of them come close to the escape I felt while dancing. It was something that I will sadly not get back, but I'm thankful for every moment I had with it. I danced for 20 years throughout my life. It started when I was 3 and took a small break after I turned 18 since my studio no longer offered classes for students after high school. A few years later, I found a studio that offered classes for adults where we got to perform in the recital, and just like that, my love was back. I decided I wanted to hit 20 years before I stopped for good. My love never faded, and the studio and the stage still provided the same escape that I came accustomed to when I was younger, but my body just couldn't handle it anymore. So I decided I would end my last year with a soul that was inspired by my life with Tourette syndrome. Ending that part of my life wasn't an easy decision, and it's still emotional for me to think about at times. But ending it with a dance inspired by the one thing it took away from me only made sense. Took away from me in a good way. Took away my tics. I danced to Kelly Clarkson's song, Invincible. The song always spoke to me on a deeper level because of my disorder, and it meant a lot to me because of that. I had a few that I relate to that part of my life, but my teacher and I thought that one made the most sense for what I wanted to accomplish with this piece. My costume was a black and teal color with a flowing skirt that floated through the air whenever I kicked, jumped, or turned. It was a contemporary piece and the first one I ever did in my dancing career, and the one dance that meant the most to me. It was another way for me to share my story while also sadly saying goodbye to another. I'm not the only one who has experienced these breaks from Tourette syndrome due to exercise or an activity of some kind. A lot of people have asked me what has helped tic reduction outside of medication. Although I always preface this with telling everyone I'm not a doctor and this is what helps me, I cannot say enough about doing something active. Over the years, research has shown the benefits from physical activity and the decrease in tics. A study performed in 2020 actually showed a group of people who live with Tourette syndrome showed a decrease in tics during and after kickboxing. Because of this, it is said that physical exercise can play a huge part in lessening the severity of tics, at least for a short period of time. Knowing that studies are being done and they are showing to be helpful only makes me recommend this type of relief more. I want everyone to have that break, to have those moments in their lives when they can get control back, even if it's just for an hour or so. I think there's also something to be said about how the same effects could come from gym class in school. It's that one time throughout the day where kids can let out the pent-up energy they have been holding in all day long. Gaining that composure can be such a powerful tool for a person with or child with Tourette syndrome. It's all a matter of finding that escape is for everyone. Although I do feel that gym class helped as well as other after-school programs, dance was always the constant that brought my body back. It wasn't just an extracurricular activity for me. Dance was my whole world for so long, and saying goodbye to that part of my life, to that escape from every bad part of me, is something I will always miss. But I'm so thankful for every moment of it. My mother didn't know it at the time, but her bringing me to my first dance class was the best gift she's ever given me. So that was chapter 10, talking about my escape, my love of dancing. My love of dancing I don't think will ever go away. I love watching it on stage. Tap dance has been my favorite and will continue to be my favorite forever. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that reading. If you want to get your own copy of Ticking My Way Through Life, you can find it online anywhere books are sold. But if you do read it and you enjoy it, please do me the huge favor of leaving a written review. Just the star reviews don't do quite as much as the written ones. Obviously, I'll take any review, positive review you want to give me. But the written reviews help authors like myself so much. So thank you, and I will see you next time.